Hey, hi, and welcome. All right, quick video. Okay, you're on a sport bike, like myself. Okay, I got a sport bike now. I used to have a Harley, used to have a BMW, used to have a Kawasaki, used to have a couple of Yamahas. I had everything, right? The only thing I haven't had is a big grandpa bike, tour bike. That's about the only thing I haven't had. Choppers, had everything, right? And now, this has happened, usually you'll see a group of Harley riders, right? And it might not just be Harley riders, there might be some V-Stars in there, there might be some other, Shadows or whatever. Harley-looking cruisers, right? Usually it's a bunch of, what you call baggers, like tour bikes. And they'll be riding in a group, and you'll catch up to them. And then all of a sudden, one rider will come out and he'll kind of block you, so that you can't really join up with the group. You'll ride right in the center behind everybody to block the group, and he won't let you in. And you'll take offense to that. And you'll be, why? It's these Harley riders. Why do they do that? But it's not all Harley. You'll notice this with Goldwing riders. You'll notice this with BMW riders. The adventure bike guys are the only guys I haven't seen do it. Because I think those guys, if they get in trouble, they're driving on the road and just for fun. They'll drive into the ditch just for fun. I know, you could see footage from last year of the guy I was driving with, Isaac. He's like, okay, kicking up dust. It's like, I thought he was crashing. He did it like a few times. Like, okay, well, he just does it for fun, like it's 60 miles an hour. Well, it's off road. He gets bored, whatever, okay. That's the adventure bike guys. It's just what they do, right? It's like they stop, they'll go cross somebody's farmer field or whatever, go through the moguls and then come back onto the road. That's what those bikes are for, right? So they tour and they tour. Those guys I've never had a problem joining up with. But when it comes to the tour bikes, whether it's Goldwings or Harleys or anything like that, or, whatever. Sport bikes, not so much, but the sport bikes, you have to keep up with them. That's the thing. Now, you're riding along, you're getting closer, and then the guy comes out and he blocks you. Why? Is it because Harley riders hate sport bike riders? Not necessarily so. There's something that you have to keep in mind. And if you've ever ridden with groups of people, when I redid my license last year or whatever, one of the things we did was 10 hours on the road. And I was riding one of those big armchair V-Star 650s. A bit of an underpowered bike. Some people thought my review on it was kind of harsh, but I thought it was fair and it was honest. What it is, but as a cruising bike, it's pretty slow. It's the most docile, forgiving motorcycle I've ever ridden. It's got floorboards, beach bars. You couldn't lane split with this thing; you'd be hung up on the bars. It's like there's just this big freaking couch going down the road. And we're riding with obviously novice riders. Now myself, because I was the most experienced rider there in the sense of that I've been on the road, although 18 or 20 years earlier. And grew up around motorcycles and stuff like that. I had no problem through the course. But some of these people, it was their first time ever riding. So, obviously, some were riding too fast, too slow. They were doing this. And you ride in a group of 5. And the group would get broken apart, and whatever the instructor would pull over, and you wait for us, and then we'd all start, and then we all group up again. And then after a while, they started getting the idea of how to space and stuff like that. Nobody crashed into each other, although there was one girl, she got a little bit close, and she scared, so she hobbled on one foot there. But other than that, and then there was one guy, he stalled at the light. The other guy, he stalled. I never stalled, but one girl had, I was behind her. I let her go, and she had a hard time off the curb there. She went on the high side of the curve, and she did one of those things, but she caught it. She was a little short in the seam for the bike she was on. But by the end of the day, everybody was riding good. The space is good. We weren't, when we get on the highway, all of a sudden the bikes start going apart, and then it's like, okay, and everybody's like that. And I'm at the tail end, so I have to keep everybody together. But you can't you don't want anybody beside you. You never want anybody beside you, especially guys like me. I tend to use my lane. Don't be beside me. Or if it comes between a road snake, a tar snake, and my survivability and your survivability, you're going into the ditch. Why? You're in my territory. Friend or not, you're in my territory. Don't ride beside me. I don't like people riding beside me. And that brings me to the key point here, is once you got a group that's running good together, they know how to stay together as a group, and no problem. Okay, they trust each other. They know each other's braking habits. That's the big one. And you've got bikes that are roughly geared similarly, so they tend to stay together anyway. When you have two different types of bikes, you find that the gearings are off. You're going to find one guy's always going too fast, one guy's always going too slow. One guy's playing catch-up, the other guy's always trying to slow down. And there's a critical speed on my bike where, like for example, below 120 kilometers an hour or 70 miles an hour, my bike I can maintain speed no problem. But the problem is when I'm doing 120, is the bike is in the power zone and it doesn't stay at 120. It starts going, it starts going like that. Before you know it, you're at 100 miles an hour without even looking at it. Like it'll just keep gaining in speed even if you're not even moving the throttle. It's a sport bike, right? So it's geared for that kind of a speed. So for me, it's like either do 100K, 95K perfectly. I can maintain that speed all day, or 80. But everything else above and below, I have to keep slowing down. Like I have to keep peeling off the throttle. Almost like, not quite like a dirt bike, but it's a sport bike. It's just the way, you don't just hold the throttle there and stay there. The bike will just keep climbing in speed slowly but surely until it goes to its natural gearing speed, right? Which on that bike is faster than the speed limit. So you're coming along, your guy pulls out and he won't let you in. Don't take offense to that. It's because maybe some of it is the animosity. Oh, okay, it's a sport bike, or it's not a Harley, or it's not a Goldwing, or it's not a whatever, or it's not a sport bike, whatever. Yeah, those guys might block you off for those reasons. So you don't want to ride with these guys anyway. But the main reason is probably simple. We don't know what this guy's like to ride with. I have to protect my group. This guy might be a complete fool, or maybe he's never ridden in a group before, and a complete novice. I don't want people crashing in. He's gonna block you. Why? Because I've been in that rear tail end Charlie position in rides before, and I've done that to people before. For that reason, it's like, well, I don't know what this guy's like, so I'd rather kind of block him off so he's not. When he's blocking you off, what he's doing is he's keeping you distant. And if he notices that you're still coming up tight to him when he's blocking you off, well, then he knows for sure, I don't want this guy riding with us. Look at how he doesn't even have the sense to back off. But I was riding behind a couple of guys. It was a really nice run. It should be the two chasing two, motorcycle stalker 2 chasing 2 video, where these two guys, they had stopped to let me go by, whatever, but then I was like, no, I'm going to play motorcycle stalker, and I like doing that. I like chasing people down and following them, just to see where they go. Last year was the Millennium Falcon Goldwing that I followed. That was so fun. And then my dream girl, who I don't even know what she looked like, that girl was the best. She was the best. I wish I would have got that on video. And I'll tell that story again because it's really good. But anyway, these two guys, they come out and they're in staggered formation. So I come in, staggered. He goes, he moves, I move. He moves, I move. And he's not trying to block me, but when the first guy moves, he moves. And then I move, right? So we're always going around so that we're never directly behind each other in staggered formation. So if any of us get into trouble, and it was just perfect formation, good ride. The guys had to carry through, but I put my hand up like that when I had to turn off. And you see them both, like thumbs up, that type of thing, whatever. The sport bike crew, okay, I told this story last year, the love of my life, and I don't even know what she looks like. All I see, okay, is I get to Otter Lake, and I can hear them coming. And I saw them in Chauvel, parked and whatever, and I waved at them when I went by. And there was a bunch of sport bikes or whatever, and I think there might have been 1 or 2 naked bikes there, but I think they were all sport bikes for the most part. And sport bike crews, I'm leery about following them for 2 reasons, too closely, because you got a lot of idiots with sport bikers. I ride sport bikes. Trust me, it's a lot of power. That little 600 I got, it's 110 horsepower somewhere. I don't know if I think that's at the crank, not at the back wheel. But still, it's 375-pound bike. It just flies like a freaking rocket. It could probably do 100 miles an hour on 1 cylinder. It's geared there. It's a very powerful machine, and it can get you into trouble before you can even know you're in trouble. So you have to be responsible with it. So these guys come out, and I hear them, and I'm just taking off from the gas station. I catch up to them just as they're getting out of town. And at the tail end, Charlie is this orange R1, probably, I'd say 2004, 2007 model, whatever. And there's a girl on it. I see the pink gloves. I see the silhouette. The ponytail's hanging out. And I see the rest of the group. There's, I guess, a guy on a freaking Aprilia or whatever. And he's gone. The whole group just starts. They're leaving this girl in the dust. So my first thing is, well, maybe she's not with this group. And she slows down a bit. And I'm like, okay. So I'm riding staggered formation. And then she slows down more. And I see the group's almost around the corner now. And I'm like, oh, I guess this girl's too scared of this bike. I mean, an R1 is an intimidating bike regardless of the year. So I'm like, okay, maybe that, it's probably the typical story. The boyfriend bought this girl the bike and she's just completely terrified of the thing. She slows down again. But now she slows down to like 40 kilometers an hour, which is like 25 miles an hour. I'm like, what's going on? She goes like this. So me being the white knight that I am, I put my helmet, my visor up and, oh, hi there. Are you with that group? She's like that, head down, eyes up, speed up, and she punks me. And I'm like, oh no, she didn't. So I start chasing her. Now, we were going through the corners. This girl, not knee down, but knee out, head right where it needs to be. She could ride. I'll just say that. She could ride. I never had so much fun. So we played cat and mouse, and she slowed down, and we were just doing second gear pulls. I didn't know what she was doing to me at first, but I was like, okay, she'd be like 1, 2, 3, and mind you, the R1, the girl probably weighed like 150 pounds. And I was like, fat bastard that I am. She probably weighed 150 pounds. So, an extra 100 horsepower. So, yeah, she punked me on each one. But it was just so fun. But she could ride well. And watching her go through the corners, like, okay, I wasn't tired of tire, but we're getting into that kind of like, we're having a nice synchronization there. And then we kept with the rest of the group. The rest of the group we caught up with a few times, and then we'd slow down, and we were just playing, right? And then we'd catch up, and then follow them, and they were going, and everybody was in a nice where they needed to be. Everybody was spaced out on the corners properly. They weren't tire to tire. They were, everybody had their line. Everybody stayed their line. Perfect run, and of course I didn't get it on video. And then when I got back to my town, they were carrying through, and I went please. I was praying that they were going to stop at the store, but they didn't. And I just see this little pink glove come up, go. I was like, oh, I'm blowing a kiss to her or whatever. I was like, and I grinned from ear to ear. But it was not so much because it was, well, obviously we were speeding. We shouldn't have been. But what it was that it was the skill. Now, mind you, that said, knowing your limits is, I was still fairly new on that bike. So it's like, okay, well, I know what my limit, but it was the way she was taking the corners and everything, I knew what I could do riding beside her and stuff like that. And the rest of the group, yeah, they were moving, we were all moving too fast, but everybody was where they needed to be. Another group I followed, although I'll never get to see my orange R1 dream girl again. I know I'm gonna run into her eventually. It's like, as soon as I see an orange R1, I'm gonna check. It's like, who owns that R1? Who owns that R1? It's like as soon as I see a girl, I'll recognize it. Put your hair in a ponytail, I want to see. It's you. Yeah, if I see the pink glove but anyway, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it's like I just to shoot the shit with them or whatever. But then, like this other group I followed, my God, they were slow, so slow, but perfectly timed. There was, the brakes were timed, they all stopped so perfectly that it was just like, and the guy at the back, he was watching me, he didn't block me, he let me come in, whatever, and we stopped out here, and at the main corner way out there. And I was like, oh, where are you guys off to? Oh, we're just off to here, blah, blah, blah. Waiting for the traffic to go by. I said, oh, you guys haven't enough time. I'm going the other way anyway. But, it's a nice riding with you. He's going, oh, yeah. But it was like, I guess what he was assessing was where I was riding. So I came up, I was, the safe distance, 3 seconds, whatever, and staying there. So he stayed there. So he wasn't, I wasn't doing this to him. I wasn't zooming up on him, whatever. And obviously there's that, sport bike versus cruiser antagonizing that happens from time to time too, which, you get jerks in all groups, right? So yeah, some people are leery. They don't want a sport bike in between doing wheelies and ramming into people, because there's no shortage of footage of squids, right? But there's a lot of Harley squids too. The other two guys, these guys were fun. But they were a little bit dangerous. so I didn't want to ride with them too much. I don't know who these people are. These are just people that I stalk on the highway. I call it Operation Motorcycle Stalker, where I just pull in, I see bikes coming, I'll let them go around, then I'll chase them. I'll just stay with them just to see what they're going to do. And I like doing that for some reason. I like seeing the group ahead of me for some reason. I don't know, it's just, the scenery's cool, you know what I mean? So anyway, I could hear them coming before anything. And my bike's loud enough, so I'm just doing the speed limit. And there's this car ahead of me, and it's kind of slow, whatever. And, but he's doing around the speed limit, just a little bit slower. And I see that I see the two lights, and it's like, and these guys are side by side, right? And I see the shirt flapping. Okay, here comes two Harley squids. No offense to Harley riders. Again, Harleys are still one of my favorite bikes ever. But yeah, Harley riders are squids. They don't wear gear. You know what I mean? Oh, it's hot out. Well, I'm out there in 35-degree weather in my onesie. Just keep the bike moving. Keep me moving. It sucks. Or ride in the evening. Maybe I'll make a video on that too. Do you prefer riding in the evening or not? Or during the day. But anyway, these two guys, I hear them coming, and they pull out. They're right in the other lane, and both of them, I say, that went by about probably 80, 85 miles an hour, or 140, 150. It's not like, damn it. Signal light, nobody, way to go. So I stay about 100 feet or so behind them for the first few kilometers, just to see what kind of riders they are. And they see me coming, so they're like, well, these guys are going to take it up pretty high, because we got a sport bike, we're going to show him. Now, mind you, the Harleys have the torque, so they have the acceleration. But until they get up to about 80 miles an hour, then I'm just going to blow by them. Problem I had was not running into them. But they did get up pretty fast. They were up... I did a few slingshots up to them at 100 miles an hour, and I shouldn't be admitting that. And then I'd stop maybe 100 feet, I'd hold at about 100 feet or so behind. I don't think they hit 100 miles an hour, but they probably got pretty close to 90. And then there was a car, and it was slow, so I backed right off. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to agitate these guys to go any faster. I was having no problem keeping with these guys, no problem. But you see one guy, because they were side by side, you see one guy kind of go around the car like this guy. This guy's kind of trying to brake and get around the car too, because that car was going he was doing 50 clicks, 35 miles an hour. A lot of old people around here, right? So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I didn't bother chasing the guys down. I'm like, no. I think they were just trying to show up the sport bike, and it's like, in an open lane, they would have nothing. They'd have no chance against me. Their bike's not going to... Yeah, they had some big bikes there. A lot of torque, but they're not going to have the top end of the sport bike, right? But it was a fun ride for that little, maybe 5-kilometer stretch that I chased them down. But not type of guys I'd want to ride with on a regular basis. Too dangerous. Fun once in a while, but too dangerous. Guys like that, I would be moving out to keep out of my group. I'd let them go around. I just wanted to see and again, these guys, and also too, I didn't want to force them through the corners get their confidence. Oh, this bike, we're going to show him. I'm sure they're probably bragging about it to this day. Oh, there was this little black bike with green flames with this squid on top in full racing gear. The squid with the full racing gear, right? And stuff like that. He couldn't keep with us, but it was by choice, because I wanted to see what these guys could do. But also, I know all the corners here like the back of my hand. I know where you could open it up and where you can't. I don't know what these guys. I don't even know these guys' names, right? So I'm looking at it as if I'm keeping with these guys, they're going to go faster. And I know on a Harley by experience that there's 2 curves there. You're going to be scraping your pipes. If you're going that fast, you're just to be able to stay in your lane. And these guys, they were going over the line a bit, so it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's like, it's you're not going to outride me that way. It's you can have it. You have the trophy. You win. I'm not going to get you guys killed. And I'm not saying I'm the best rider in the world, but I know tool to the job. A sport bike, I can go through the corners, like this at 45 degrees. You got 25 degrees to 30 degrees max, depending on what side, depending on the pipe side, right? I'm not going to get you guys killed. You probably lowered your bikes too, so you probably got even less than that. And I know some of these shallow curves are deceptive, and you're scraping pegs or exhaust. So I'm not going to get these guys killed just trying to, make them, just give them the win. Give them the win. Be the responsible one. Plus, we shouldn't be riding like that anymore. But, once in a while when there's nobody else. But as soon as I saw the other car, the slow car, it's okay. No, keep back from these guys. Let them go. Because I know as soon as they went around the car, they slowed down a bit. But I think what they were trying to do was just show how fast that they could outrun me. But again, I had a hard time not running into them because when I slingshot, it was like, oh, okay. I'd get too close. Like, that's why I stayed back about 100 feet. So it was like, just because, again, I don't know if these guys are going to get scared and jam on the brakes or whatever. I don't know these guys, right? But they were riding side by side, so they were dangerous riders. There's no doubt about that. And it's not just them that do it. I mean, there's all kinds of guys that do this, not just Harley guys. It's just, in this case, it was those two guys. Other guys, there's a guy I used to ride with years ago, and there was one guy I would not ride with him because he would cross the line all the time. He was always, he was kind of like a yammy noob type of rider, where he's constantly making bad decisions, going to get it, his fellow rider killed or get himself killed, and I don't want to see that. Obviously I don't want to die myself. So that was the kind of. I know I'm going on a bit long on this video, so I'm going to have to tidy it up. But the last thing I'll talk about is something I watched. It was a Hells Angels ride a couple of weeks ago. Now, I'm not insulting the Hells Angels, but I'm just going to point out, and I've already pointed out in another, where they were all doing a group ride. There was like 100 some odd bikes, and they were going through the desert. So they had all the room in the world, but there's some shallow curves there and stuff like that. And they were riding as a perfect uniform group. And then they decided to do it like a 100-mile-an-hour coordinated ride. And not all the guys were up to the same abilities. And that, to me, was dangerous. Some guys were ending up beside each other. Some guys were, breaking apart a bit. Some guys were crossing the line. I'm like, okay, yeah, it looked cool from the chopper angle and stuff like that. But, and some of the guys, oh, yeah, we were riding so good, so tight, so fast. Guys, that's not tight. And I'm not saying that to disrespect or anything like that. What I'm saying is you're going to get killed. If you're going to ride that fast, you have to stay tighter than that. And you can't cross the line. If your bike cannot corner at those speeds, don't take it to those speeds. You know what I mean? But I understand how it works when you're group influence. I understand how group influence. Sport bike riders are the worst for it because they overshoot. You get 3 corners in a row. You can almost guarantee at the end of every third corner, there's a sport bike in the ditch that's overshot the speed. There was some woman biker YouTuber last week or the week before. There was another one that was last year that died. Same thing. It was a 30 zone and she overshot it at 70, 80 miles an hour, about 120, 140 kilometers an hour. She overshot the curve, just going too fast, way above her abilities. Yeah, she was on, again, another S1000. These bikes are incredible machines, and you have to respect them. The bike don't care about you regardless of the bike. If you disrespect the laws of physics and underestimate your tires and your cornering abilities, yeah, something bad's going to happen. So if you're going to ride in a group, I can understand why people close people off out of other groups, why they don't let them in. And a lot of time it's nothing personal. It's the safety factor of I know what it's like to ride with these guys. Sometimes it is I don't like that brand or whatever, that kind of silliness, whatever. But when you have people that know how to ride together, they tend to want to stick together, and they can be leery of letting people into their group just because they don't know what your abilities are, and there's no shortage of footage out there. The one that really bugged me, there was this guy riding beside a girl doing a wheelie on a sport bike. He takes out, he doesn't get hurt hardly at all, but he takes out this girl, well, it goes right into the girl's bike right beside, probably his girlfriend, breaks her leg. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't want to be riding with idiots like that, These giant squid rides, there's always a bike that ends up down or two, exploding on the 401 in Toronto. You got these giant bike rides, it's usually a bunch of sport bikes, and they're just doing all kinds of hooligan stuff. Take it to the track, guys. I am looking forward to someday having a track bike for that reason. That's where the hooligan stuff is for. Stunter stuff is for parking lots. Whether you're on a Harley, there's a lot of stunters on the Harleys too. And again, all these stunters are the same. They're all squids. They got a helmet, nice, $500 gloves and the fanciest shorts and sandals they can wear. Yeah, but that is what it is. So that's you guys tell me what you think about it. But it's a topic that I haven't seen anybody else talk about, and I know you guys want to see more motor vlogging. I got to get my GoPro mic adapter before I do that, but I got so many things that I got to get before I can worry about that. But I thought this was an interesting motorcycle topic that is worthy of a 25-minute discussion. Yeah, so when people close you off, don't take it offense. Anyway, leave it at that. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that like button. Have yourselves a great day, eh?